I'm Kate the Cat, also known as Caitlin8248 on DeviantArt. I'm back with another tutorial extension on Artist Alley 101. I touched on it a little bit in my last tutorial about keychains, however, I didn't go into detail about it. This tutorial is about printing on the cheap. And I'm sure you're sitting there going, that's so easy! I can just print off my printer or go down to the office store and get prints. But, truth be told, you'll be spending more money than you need to for doing this. For example, Office Depot and Office Max prices for printing is $129 a print, and Staples is $209 a print. You may think this is a bargain, but it really isn't. If you're printing about 50 prints, you'll be paying a range in between, hold on, let me get my calculator. Let's see. 1.29 times 50. That's $64.50, not including your tax. And for printing at Staples, you're paying over $100 at $104.50, not including your tax. So now you're going to sit here and go, wow, well, what about my printer? Well, your printer at home, this thing, you can't see it, but it's right here. Think about the ink. You have to pay for the ink, and how many prints are you actually going to make? Sure, you can go to the store and buy a thing of cardstock for $5. However, your ink is going to run out at like 10 prints. So it's not really economical to do it off the printer. Unless you have some really nice printer, it's not economical. So here's your next question. Then where am I going to do this, or how? Well, the answer of this is find a family printer. Yes, go to a family printer. They'll actually know more than they do at the office store. They're much more reliable, and they typically have they give you a nicer price. They print less. They'll print less at a cheaper price, because a lot of places actually will ask you to order like 1,000 prints to get some like base price of $100 or $200. But that's so expensive. And the family printer won't do that. The family printer is more willing to print you about 80 prints for what, $65? That's more bang for your buck. You might think it's not on cardstock nonetheless, not just like regular printer paper. So I'm sure you're gonna sit there and go like, but where am I gonna find a family printer? How am I gonna find a family printer? So here's some tips of how to find a family printer. To find a family printer, some of the ways are really easy. Go walking around in your city. You wouldn't believe what you'll come across when you walk around on your own. For example, my printing company, Buffalo Printing, I actually found it when I was just walking from a Chinese market with my friend. We just kind of saw it, and I was like, oh. So I went in, and I got a quote. And they've been my printing company ever since. They have been very friendly to me, and they've just done excellent work every time I go. That's the thing about family companies, too. They're very, very kind. They're not just kind, they're very, very prompt. For example, like if I'm in a rush and I need it in a day, I can order it at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and pick it up at 8 a.m. in the morning. It's pretty prompt, and it's there in my hands right away. So, if that's what you're looking for, you know, the promptness, go with a family printer. If you're also looking for the price and the quality, family printer. Some other ways you can do it, ask around. Your friends, your family might have an idea. Because, you know, they would probably have to use it at some point. This sounds really funny to say this. Walk into a church. Because they have, every time I go into my printing company, I always see a church having to come in and pick envelopes up. So, you might as well, if you have a church you go to, you might as well go in and ask, hey, where do you get your things printed? Because they have to get things printed cheap. It's not like the church has a ton of money to do that. Maybe go into small businesses if they, print things. So, there's lots of ways to find a family printer. Now, to assess the quality of a family printer, here's some guidelines. Go in, if they're very kind to you, that's a good part. That's, step one. The next part is, are they willing to give you a quote right away? That's step two. And they're willing to answer your questions. really, before you even consider printing, you have to have your questions ready. Be ready to ask them what kind of paper do they use, or what kind of paper is available. Ask them, don't just ask about the paper, ask about the size. Ask about, do they understand like your resolution or anything like that, about computer specifications when you print. There's a whole lot of other things. I'm sorry I'm a little off the chart with this. It's very basic to me, so but all you have to do is just go in and ask them some questions specific to what you need. A lot of printers actually are very kind and will print something for you for free to see how you like it and test it. So when you're going in and testing to go see if a printer's worth it, go in with a thumb drive and take a picture with you and ask them to print it to see how it looks. Because most of the time, if they're a kind company, they'll actually take the time and do it for you. So that's some of the steps of finding a printer. Now, you're probably going to say, well, you haven't left me very many options. Because, I don't know about you, but most artists are on a really tight budget. Like, I'm typically on a budget of, like, what? Maybe $100 to $150 per table. At most. Normally I'm only spending a little less than $100 for the whole thing, because a lot of the materials I already have. But for your first table, you'll only want to budget yourself between $150 and $100 to $150. And why I say this is because your money is tight. You don't know, this is your first time, you don't have a range of how much you'll make at the table, so you're better off kind of downsizing. Don't go crazy. Don't go crazy with your printing. I actually asked Sakura-chan776 on DeviantArt when she was at Toricon about how much she prints for Anime North. She prints about the same as I do on a typical basis. So the good range for that is about 4 to 8 prints. Because I'll be honest, prints are very hard to sell. If you're doing something like I said in the keychain tutorial, which are reprints, you'll want to be printing 7 to 10 different copies of it, because reprints sell very fast. And the other thing is, you can have them forever. You're never gonna get old. They're never gonna get old, and prints can always you can keep in stock. So I know I was a little all over the board with this one tutorial, but I hope it was somewhat helpful. So remember to, when you're going into a family printer, have some questions ready to go. If you don't know how to find a family printer, walk around, ask people you know, or walk into a church or a small business. They're more than willing to give you an answer. I hope this helps you. I hope, you get a good printer, and I hope you do well at your first table. So, see ya and goodbye.